ladies and gentlemen. You know that song, you know that sound, that means it's the weekend, and as always it indicates that it is time for the James Freel Show. I am your host, James Freel, and as always, I'm happy to have you with me. I think I've got a pretty decent show for you coming up here. I'm gonna say right off the bat, I'm excited for this show, but more so, I'm really excited for a show I have coming up, because last week I indicated to you that I've got some new guests coming up, and that is true. This Sunday, I'm not going to reveal anything too big, but I'm going to have the best guest I've had so far on. And by best, I just mean it's an extremely interesting guy. I'll give this one hint. If you enjoy my sports rambling, and recall that I'm in the Cincinnati area, it'll be for you. And if you're not in sports, that's fine. I'm not here to judge anyone or anything. But I'm not doing the how do you say, a bootleg version. I know it sounds like garbage. I'm using a condenser mic, and I like this microphone because if it's just me, what's the point of using the whole setup? It's just a plug and chug mic. So I mean, what's the point? I've got it on the whole recording arm, so it's a little easier to use and everything. Anyway, as always, before we go on, we've got to jump into news for the uninformed. And you know what? As every week for the past, I think, 3 months or something, I don't think that I have had that I've prepared anything for it. Stick with me. I'm still here. I'm just grabbing a pillow to cover up the vent because I don't want to have that giant noise in the background. Anyway, is this cringy enough? Is it cringy enough already? Because I think I'm doing a good job. I don't know. In news for the uninformed, our top story, Virginia Governor Ralph Northam apologized on Friday for a photograph on his 1984 medical school yearbook page showing him and another person in a racist garb at a party, but said he would serve out his term, and even as pressure piled from fellow Democrats for him to step down. Yeah, I saw that. To me, it even looked offensive for 1984 standards. I mean, it's definitely, I shouldn't laugh at it, I really shouldn't, but, I'm not laughing at the photo, I'm laughing at just how crazy the whole situation is. Like, it's the most blatantly offensive thing I think I've ever seen. It's like it was tailor-made for this kind of thing. So that's that. In sports, this week this was probably my top story last week, and I'm sticking with my top sports story last week, and I'm sticking with it this week. It is Super Bowl weekend. We got the New England Patriots taking on the the LA Rams. And I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be I hope it. It's one thing, I think it's the last Super Bowl we had that wasn't a great game was, I think, 2014, when the Seahawks just blew out the Broncos. And it's stuff like that that makes me think, hey, is this stuff rigged? Because what are the odds that every single year you wind up with a great game? I don't know. I really don't know. Who's to say? Again, I'll stand by my statement about whether or not the league is rigged or not. I do not think that the NFL is rigged. Just off the cuff, that is my position. I do not think that it is rigged. But if it came out that Roger Goodell had that, who's the guy who ran the WWF? I don't know, and he's coming out with the XFL. If he came out and said, listen, this is entertainment, I would not be shocked. That's, like I said, though, I do not think, as a general rule, that it is rigged. I just don't. I think it'd be I think there are too many mouths to keep shut, too many people who go in and out of the league. I think it'd be too difficult to keep it from it coming out clear. And I heard someone say, "Oh, one time these Ravens players said it was rigged and they got fined." And I'm like, "Well, we should be seeing more cases like that if it was actually rigged." I mean, I'm willing to have my mind changed. And the problem is a lot of these cases where people say, "Oh, proof that the league is rigged, that the gridiron, that the shield is rigged," they're the worst cases of it. It's like you have far more better examples of it. The NBA was definitely rigged for a while. I mean, I feel like that was kind of undeniable. But anyway, and let's see what's going on in pop culture. That's my rant on sports. It's almost as if the rambling section has encroached in on the news for the uninformed. Boy George, pop culture lacks original thought. Whoa, what does he have to say here? Boy George believes that modern culture lacks original thought. The 57-year-old singer who found global fame in the 1980s as part of Culture Club has hit out in a popular culture saying it's on a loop and lacks originality. He explained, "I feel like modern culture is on a loop. Every time I come out to promote something, I'm answering the same questions over and over. I'm fascinated by how little original thought there is in the world." Okay, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That makes me think. I bought, so that's about news for the uninformed. That's what Boy George said. I bought GTA 5 the other day, and that's a great game. What year did that come out? Oh, wow, September 17th of 2013. So, because the thing is, what Boy George was talking about, I feel like it was kind of satirized by Grand Theft Auto 5. Jeez, that got a 10 out of 10. It's a great game. I mean, I'm still kind of hooked on Red Dead Redemption 2. Jeez, Rockstar just makes every single game a masterpiece. It really does. And I never finished Grand Theft Auto 4. I honestly like that a little better than GTA 5. That's just me, though. Anyway, gonna continue on with me rambling if there's anyone out there listening. So, the big news that I got here. Let me take a drink really quick before I reveal it. So, the past few weeks I'd been talking about a job interview that I did. And the whole time I stayed pretty modest about the whole ordeal. And the reason why is I never wanted to get my hopes up. Because this was a dream position that I was interviewing for. It was, it was just something I didn't want to get my hopes up too high for. Because I realized, I could, I don't know. I guess I realized I could have jeez. I'm rambling now, he said during the rambling section. That's all I can say. I really, really wanted this job, and I didn't want to admit to myself how much I wanted it. And on Tuesday night, I had 4 dreams, each of which, because I've already interviewed, I think I talked about that last week. I had different dreams where in all 4 of them, and this is all in the same night, I dreamt that I was offered the position. And I just thought to myself, wow. The first time I was just ecstatic, and then I woke up. And then when I fell asleep again, the next 3 times that I dreamt it, I kept saying to myself, well, you wouldn't dream it twice in the same night. You wouldn't dream it 3 times in the same night. You wouldn't dream it 4 times in the same night. By the 4th time, you probably should have caught on. But, each time, and that was Tuesday, I woke up, that was Tuesday night into Wednesday, and I woke up realizing that all 4 of those occasions were a dream. And I just thought to myself, geez, yeah, I remember when I was offered it in those dreams, I was so happy, and I realized, wow, I really want this job more than I was willing to admit to myself. And so that Wednesday, like I've said previously, I still have one semester left of school before I'm done with it. And I went to my local public library to print out a quiz that I had to turn in. And, I was just driving back, and I still expected a few weeks before I would hear anything. And I printed it off, got in my car, and started driving. And I'm listening to this song called Adeline by Ben Folds, and I don't think that I've really spoken that much about the music that I've been particularly listening to recently. But I mean, let me just say this. I mean, there's that meme going around of the same 20 songs over and over, and I don't think I've been hooked on the same 20 songs. I mean, let me see. Let's go down through my iTunes playlist. Fool by Joe Jackson, that's a good one. The Tree of Forgiveness, yeah, Deep. I tried getting into Deep Purple. Anyway, Ben Folds is a genius. I love his music so much. The album Way to Normal, I was hooked on, and now I'm on Super Sunny Speed Graphic, the LP. I was listening to Adeline by him as I was driving down, and now that I look back on it, it was kind of not Freudian, but poetic. And a lot of that is just us assigning significance to things that really don't have any. But as I continue to discuss what happened, I'm driving in front of a doctor's office. The same doctor's office where I had to get my vaccination records. I don't know if I've mentioned it. I think I mentioned that in the lost tapes of James Freel about how I fear vaccines a lot, and I think I've officially kind of gotten over that. But I get a phone call, and I do their irresponsible thing because the song goes down about 70-80% in volume, and I see that it's from Providence, Rhode Island. And I see that, and I remember the first, not the second one, because I had that first phone interview, and then I had the second one, and then I had the last in-person interview. But I remember the first one, that wasn't exactly it was more of an HR interview. And I remember it was from Rhode Island, and I'm like, oh man, this could be the news. I mean, you just had that dream last night. So I pull over into the doctor's office, and I answer the phone, and sure enough, it's the person that I had the phone interview with the first time. And my heart is thumping, because just that previous night, I had the realization of how much I wanted this position. And for the record, future James could be listening to this and thinking, no, this job's going to be horrible, don't do it. But I don't want to ruin this now. Let me just enjoy it, because this is a job that it's like, wow, I can tackle my student loans. And once that's taken care of, I can start to raise a family. It's an emotional thing for me. I'm proud of myself, and that doesn't happen every day. I'm not going to say it doesn't happen a lot, because I've had moments where I'm pretty proud of myself. Anyway, so I pull over, and yeah, like I said, sure enough, it's the person that I had the first interview with. And I'm not going to lie, when I saw that I got a phone call, I got kind of excited, because I thought, whoa, I mean, she could just send an email if it's a rejection. Is she really going to put herself through the unfortunate situation of having to verbally communicate to someone, like I said, verbally, that they're rejected? And she said, I have some good news for you. And that's the moment I couldn't, I kind of went into shock, because it's like, I had all those dreams the night before, and I'm still not convinced of any supernatural entities or anything. But I get why people have events that happen in their lives about stuff. Because, not listening, but experiencing that, and the next day, coincidences do happen, and when you think about how they do happen, and the fact that they happen like every few years, you get a huge coincidence occurring. But then at the same time, the fact that it was on something this big, again, I'm not convinced. And here's the funny thing: when she was telling me about the good news, I was in such shock that she was probably expecting me to be so much more excited about it. And she explained the position, she explained the benefits, she explained everything, and she's like, do you want to accept? And this is what I said. I'm going to do my best imitation of myself after she said, do you accept? Yeah. And then she just continued on and said, well, great, we're going to email all of this to you, and we'll get the paperwork going forward. It's recommended you get this done very soon. Anything else? And there's an awkward pause, and I just go, no, that sounds great. And I'm hoping that maybe she understood that I was just kind of in shock, because I didn't think I was getting this job. I did not. The tough part of it is going to be showing up and working hard and learning as much as I can. I'm going to have to put as much effort forward as I ever have into anything, because this is an amazing opportunity. Imaging engineers, that's what this is in. It's with an amazing international company. Yeah, I can't blow something like this. This is, I just got lucky. I really do. And I want to thank the company that turned me down before for turning me down. And yeah, there's a little bit of pettiness to that, but I'm a lucky guy. I really think there's just a huge element of luck to all of this. And I'm not trying to sell myself short. I've had other people tell me that I'm going to make a great tech and everything, and maybe they're right, but I don't know. I'm proud of myself, but at the same time, I do think luck played a huge role in it. The only thing that's going to be a bummer is now I got to finish school while I'm working, but there's a lot of people who are in that same boat. So anyway, that's enough rambling about the major event of my week. There's a couple of other things that happened. So this week I went to apply for a new government document. I'm not going to specify which one. I was about to, but then I thought, do you really need to, James? Do you really? People already know your first name. No, you actually don't. I've said several times on this show that I don't use my real name. Yeah, I had to go to a federal building to apply for it. And, this building was built in 1984, and it must have been built ahead of its time, because I walked in and it instantly felt like the mid-90s. And I will say, I don't try to get political on this show at all. I'll laugh at ridicule. Anything that, like, at the beginning of the show when I was laughing at the situation with the Virginia governor, it is what that was just, it's almost like it was tailor-made. I already said all this, but I go into this federal building and I see pictures of Donald Trump everywhere, and I'm just like, geez, he really is the president of the United States. And I will say right off the bat, I'm not comfortable with I was not comfortable going into a federal building and seeing photos of Donald Trump everywhere. And I don't know if I needed it to be Donald Trump for me to feel uncomfortable, but I want to say I would not have been comfortable had it been Barack Obama, had it been George W. Bush, had it been Bill Clinton, or Abe Lincoln even. I'm not comfortable with the Abraham Lincoln Memorial. And the reason I say that is just because it flirts too much with that whole worship mentality of politicians. I don't think we should be worshiping them. This is about as political as I've ever gotten on here, but it's simply the truth. I think I don't know, it just seems a little idolatry, and it's kind of funny. I looked into Islam, and why you can't depict a graven image or just depict an image of Muhammad. And I always thought that was very tough. It was a tough thing to reconcile with the Constitution and the First Amendment. And I still stand by the Constitution more. I do think you should be able to express yourself, say what you want to say, draw whatever picture you want to draw without any fear of not fear of repercussions socially, but legally. But anyway, I realized that law is there because apparently, and I could be wrong on this, tweet me if I'm wrong, email me at the James Freel Show at gmail.com. Yes, I go with Google. It seems like they just didn't want this idolatry around Muhammad, which I actually think is, wow, that's actually kind of cool. Anyway, yeah, I was there and I signed in. And then I looked at the waiting room, and there was probably between 30 and 40 people waiting. And I only had about an hour and a half. And I was just like, oh, geez, I'm not getting this done today. I only fed the meter as far as I could, and I was downtown Cincinnati. And so I'm like, well, I spent for the meter. I might as well just go ahead and sit down, wait as long as I can. And if I don't get it, that's okay, because my card has already been charged. And they give you this number, and I will say this was, because, okay, like I said, I don't get too political on here, but I still think America is a great country. I do. There was, in an office, there was a man, and he walked up, and he said, I'm applying for this document because I'm trying to apply to become a citizen. And the guy behind the desk said, you're applying to become a citizen? And he said, yes. And he said, congratulations, welcome to America. And, I mean, America has its problems and everything, but I really do think we're a great nation. I'm not going to go so far as to say we're the greatest nation on earth, but I do think we're in the top 5. You come at me, China. Come at me. If we're so horrible, then why does everyone want to come here? I don't know. That might have been an arrogant thing to say, but I am proud of my country. And so then it turns out I did get there on time because all I was requesting was a replacement document. And I got the receipt. I asked the woman, I told her, hey, I have my driver's license and I have another important document. I don't know if you need both. And she said, we don't need both. I just need the driver's license. And I told her the information. And I'm going to keep going. Then she gave me a receipt. And I looked back and I was walking out. And it said my address and then Cincinnati, Ohio. And I don't live in Cincinnati. Y'all know that I live in a neighborhood outside of Cincinnati. And I'm like, if I don't fix this now, it's never going to get fixed. But they kept calling people up. Like, number S74, you're now available. And I'm like, I'm not getting a new ticket for this. I ran back up to the counter and said, excuse me, ma'am. This says Cincinnati. It should say this other neighborhood. Did I fill out the form wrong? And then she was like, oh, no, I'm so sorry. it was on her, and I was totally understanding, but she had already called someone else up, and she told them, I'm sorry, I'll be right back in a second. And I was so glad that it got fixed, because she easily could have told me, you need to take a ticket, but I would have been like, but I think you made a mistake. But anyway, it all got worked out, and it was good. So anyway, it's Friday, February 1st, 2019, and it's about 10, it just turned 10:48 at night. This evening I went out and I saw a play that I was in back in high school. It was a good play that I was in, and the high school that I went to decided to do the play again. I can go ahead and say it's called Noises Off. If you're going to go through the effort to find which high school... The thing is, this is a very common play for high schools to do. And I thought about, after the show, greeting the people who were on it. I'll be honest, they did a much better job than my class did. And it's good to see some talent coming out of this school. Because ever since, I don't want to say ever since I left, my class... There was a huge swarm of talent about 4 years before I left, and then 2 years there was still some talent, and then when my class took over, the talent had pretty much dropped off. It was low, but it continued to go even lower after I left, and then this class, they just spiked up. They just went way up, and up and beyond what I had done. So, it's good to see some talent coming from my school. You know, they did an amazing job. I think, maybe not, I'd say 80% of the roles. I'm trying to think how many roles there are. Let me count in my head. 1, 2, there are 2 couples, so there's 5. Then there's that individual who comes on the stage first. There's the role I played, and then there's the 2... I think there's only 9 roles, and I would say 7 out of 9 of them did a better job than anyone in our class did. Yeah, it was a good show. I had a fun time. There were some obnoxious kids next to us, but hey, to us it was just me actually. I got my hair cut this week, and I just did 2 weeks ago, and I told the person I want to go significantly shorter than I am right now. And basically I said, hey, at first I was like, as short as you can possibly go while still being able to brush your hair to the side, because that's how I style my hair. And then she's like, well, what about skin showing? And I'm like, okay, as short as you can possibly go without skin showing. There we go. And it looks like a little bit of skin can be shown, but I'm okay with it. I think it was a pretty good haircut. The only thing is if you don't style it, you have to, then it doesn't look like a good haircut if you don't style it. But overall, I'm satisfied. I tip between, my haircuts cost about $15. And I tip $4 to $5 on that. If it's a great one, great company, or if you just don't talk, $5. If you're fine, $4. If it's a bad haircut and you're a bad company, $3. I think that's fair. Tell me if I'm wrong. Come at me. I gotta say, I think this is one of the best podcasts old Jimmy Django, the Janganese, whatever, has done. I'm really looking forward. I'm going to have a guest on this weekend for Super Bowl Sunday. I've said before, I want the Patriots to win, to revoke the Steelers' ability to say that they have more than anyone. They're going to have to share that title. In fact, I want Tom Brady to come back and not only win this one, but win this year's and the year after that. Give the Patriots 8 wins, even though I'm a fan from Cincy. All right, take care, folks. Thank you so much for listening. Look out for the conversations. Bye.